Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so we're going to be focusing in on this little area over here, and as long as we actually stay below this high here, which is this 28,142, we need to be very careful of our bearish counts here, where either this could become 1, 2, and then we see a bigger third wave to the downside, or this could still be a bigger ABC pattern, in which case we should see one more drop to the downside. Now, there's two ways that I'm looking at this. If we look at this as looking to extend out here in a bigger impulse, this would effectively be looking for this count to come into play. And what we'd be saying is that this whole move here is a bigger 1, 2, and as long as we actually stay below this 27,516, we need to be very careful of the idea of actually seeing a bigger sell-off here, where this move becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, given the current area that we have moved up to, we would be looking for this 1.618 to be around here at this 22,709. And if we do see something like this, we'd be expecting to see a bigger 5-wave move to the downside on high volume as a third wave. Now, if we do move to this 22,709, this would align with the idea of having a bigger impulse to the downside, where this could either be A, B, and C, or alternatively, if we start to cross this 20,903 level, this could actually just become 1, 2, this all becomes 3, 4, and 5, and then we'd still be looking for an additional 4th and 5th to the downside. So this is why we need to be careful at the moment. Until we actually take this high out, we do have this option of seeing a bigger move to the downside in this way. Now, another way we discuss this is looking at this as a diagonal pattern, where we're saying this is A, B, and C. Once again, the same idea is going to be in play here until we actually start to break back above this 27,516 and back above this high. We need to be careful of the potential here that we could still be seeing a 3-wave move to the downside here, which could look to move down towards the zone as 24,192 as a 1-to-1. Now, if we do see something like this, what we'd be expecting is another 3 waves up and then another 3 waves down, looking for this to actually complete as a bigger diagonal pattern from further back here, where this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if we do see something like this, I will be looking out for some of those other targets that we've discussed here on the higher time frame count, where we are looking for this lower red box area, 25,360. We've already hit this zone, 24,691, and this 23,646 as potential zones that we could look to complete into. Now, this would only align with the idea of the diagonal. If we do see this become a bigger 5-wave structure to the downside, then we would be looking for extension, as I said earlier. Now, it is also possible for us to just have an ABC move to the downside here and still be within a bigger corrective pattern. Now, what this would actually be saying is that within this count, we could potentially still be within a bigger B wave here. So if we're looking at this as A, B, and then we're looking for a C wave to the upside, effectively what we could be then looking for is a move back up towards us 30,002. is a move back up towards us 30,284 to this 50% level, which would be here at this 28,366. Now, we have already moved up into this zone. So because of the fact we've moved up into this, I'm just being mindful that we could start to see, that reaction to the downside, like we talked about, looking at this as a B wave and then seeing that C wave down in a bigger 5-wave move. So until we take this high, we need to be very careful. Now, there is an option here where we could be looking for a bigger push to the upside, where we could even look to come back and challenge some of these highs towards this 31,804 level. And the idea within this would actually be that we are looking at a more complex structure here, where we have a bigger flat over here, where this is A, B, and C. Now, the orange area is going to be our lower zone that we could look for rejection between the 786 and this 0.5 region. Alternatively, if we start to see a bigger structure here, where we see a bigger 3-wave move, we could look to actually move up into this target box, and this would align with something like a bigger flat correction forming, where we would then see 3 waves up and then see a bigger 5-wave move to the downside. So this is why we need to just be a little bit careful with how the price action is reacting here. We do have that potential of that breakdown, but we need to see whether we continue to show strength and continue to hold these lows. If we do continue to hold these lows here, we could potentially see a little bit of a break to the upside. So we're going to discuss the more micro moves now, and we're going to come back in here onto the hourly. So in the previous video, what we were talking about was a few things here. So we were saying that, this move could be looking to enlarge here, where we could have this as a bigger W, an X, and a Y, and what we could be looking for is this target area here, this 1236 to this 121 level. And within this idea, what we were saying is that this whole move could be an A wave. Then we are looking at this as a B wave over here, and then looking for the potential of a 5-wave structure to the upside. Now, we have come down into this typical zone here that we look for at this 702 to the 786 zone. So we've already come into this area. Now, it is possible we could argue that this Y wave is over here. It is also, however, possible that what we could say here is that this is actually W, this is A, B, and C, and we've actually seen a move up to the 786 level, and we could still be looking for another leg down. Now, if we do continue to hold this level here of this 26,225, we can look for the possibility to see a 5-wave structure looking to develop to the upside. So that would be this yellow count over here. Now, if we're looking at this move as a bigger WX, and we've still got another move to the downside here, I will be looking out for this 26,357 as a 1-to-1 level. That would be looking to break this low here as well. And what we'd be expecting then is to see a 5-wave move to the downside and then see a reversal back to the upside here. So going to be looking out for this. This move down can potentially also happen in 3 waves, so we'll have to keep an eye on the structure. But if we are looking at this as an X wave, like I said, it could mean that we still have this Y wave to come to the downside or a C wave to come to the downside, where we could look to challenge this lower yellow target box area again before continuation up. Now, it is also possible that because we have a 5-wave move here, we could start to move up directly. What we'd want to see here for confirmation that this is becoming 1, 2, 3 would be a move up towards this zone here of this 27,468, and that would then align with the idea of this impulse looking to play out. If we do get a move up towards this zone, I will be watching out for this potential of a 4th wave looking to come back down into this 27,207 to this 26,917 region, but we are not allowed to cross this high. If we cross that high, then it would be just a 3-wave move here, in which case we'd have to reevaluate how we are looking at the structure here, because it wouldn't really fit in this instance. So within this, what we're saying is that we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We could see a push up here towards this zone of this 27,733 to this 27,569, which would be quite an interesting zone because it would be looking to challenge this wick over here. So going to be watching out for this. If we do continue to show strength and hold these lows, we could be looking at the potential of a breakout here. So we're going to actually go over that idea of a breakout here. Now, off of this move here, if we want to say that we're going to get a break to the upside, invalidation is going to be here at this 27,377. Now, like I said, it is always possible that this could be a W, X, and Y, and we see 3 waves down and then see some kind of a rally to the upside as long as we hold this low. If, however, we do continue to hold this blue invalidation point here, what we could see is that we could start to see a 3-wave move retracement to the downside. So there's some interesting levels here. 50% would be the top of this move, 0.786 would be the bottom of this move, and then the 0.618 would be the central part of this move here. So going to be keeping an eye on these different levels here. If we do see price look to come back down, if we look to find support, we could actually potentially start to rally here. Now, the key thing is within this blue count, unless we hit this 1618 here, this 27,227, this isn't going to really fit into the idea here of a bigger 5-wave structure. So we need to see price actually form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and see a push up into this level, come back down, hold this support of the 4th wave, and then not cross this wave 1, and then look for this higher zone here. Now, if we do see something like this, this could align with our bullish count as well. So we're going to go over that in a second. But this could also just be, like I said, that whole idea that this is W, X, A, B, C, and then we look for that continuation down. So we need to be very careful here that, you know, like I said, until we actually take this high here, we do have a few counts which are still pointing to the downside. So we need to see that confirmation within the structure here and continuing to hold these lows for that to play out. Now, the idea of the breakout is still valid. Now, there was 2 ways that we were saying that this could look to take place. And we were saying, you know, as long as we continue to hold these lows here, we can potentially look for that continuation up. So we've gone over this idea of this smaller time frame 5-wave move to the upside here. If we do start to see a move up here that actually pushes past this 27,468 level, this would actually align with having that bigger impulse here, where this could be 1, 2. we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get a move up towards this 1618 level, and then we could actually see price looking to continue to rally here, where this could then look to actually target out this 1.618 of this white wave 1 here, which is at this 28,053. Ideally, we need to hit this target. So what I want to be seeing here is if we do see this as 1, 2, we could potentially form, like I said, another 1, 2 here. Then we get that 3, 4, 5, and then we'd be looking for that continuation up here, looking for this white 28,053 level. If we start to push up towards this zone, the likelihood is that we are then going to see an interaction with this high point here. And within this bullish count, what we'd be typically looking for would be a move up towards this 29,317 to this 28,872 level. So if we do see a 5-way move up like this, effectively what this would be looking for is two things. We would have to then argue that either we complete into this low, and then we would see something like this as a 5-way move up. We'd see 3-wave move back to the downside, and then that continuation up. Or alternatively, what we would have to say here then would be that, you know, we're looking at that bigger flat idea. So this is why I'm saying if we do continue to show strength here, we could be looking for this rally up into this red target box area, which would align very well with actually how we are counting this breakout count currently. We can see here that this would potentially look to bring us up into this 1382, which would also be a retest of this little support zone that we lost. So going to be keeping an eye on the lows here to see if we can continue to hold these and show strength. What we want to see, though, if this is going to be taking place, is we want to see volume starting to pick up here. We want to see this low get held. We want to see 3 waves down, and then we want to see that nice, big, strong, impulsive structure developing to the upside. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, we can see that on reset here, we actually had an interaction back down into our S1 line. We found support and we've rallied, and we've actually hit our R2 line now. Now, if we do continue to reject off this zone, what I'm going to be looking at primarily is whether we find support at this 26,633. If we lose that zone, I will be looking for this 26,523 to this 26,507. Now, these are very tightly spread, which is indicating volatility. So if we do have a look at this and we say, okay, well, is this a flat? If this is a flat, what we could then see is price could actually look to break down here, and we could be looking to test out some of these lower levels, 26,291, 26,187, and this 26,068 as potential zones for today. If, however, we see price continuing to hold these levels and continuing to rally here, we'll be keeping an eye on this level of this 26,857, 26,960 as potential targets for today. So now we're going to go over here and have a look at the weekly CPR. We have new weekly CPR lines printed. So we have actually printed a slightly higher CPR line. These are quite widely spread, which is typical of ranging sideways price action looking to actually develop. So we're going to have to see how we react here. Now, we do potentially have support here at 26,311, 26,103, and this 25,896 to the downside. So if we do see price looking to actually break to the downside here, we can still be potentially within a corrective move before looking for that continuation up. So we need to just be aware of that, you know, even if we lose this 1-2 idea here, if this move either finds A, B, C, we find support above this point, we could look to rally directly. Alternatively, as long as we hold this low here, there is still potential that this could be 1-2, and then we look to rally from that point as well. So need to just be aware of that. If we do look to actually move up here, however, targets for this week to the upside would be 29,309, 28,089, and this 29,295 as potential upside targets. Also, to the downside here, should we lose these central lines, our targets would then become 25,327, 24,113, and this lower level here of this 23,342 for this week. Now, moving over here and having a look at the monthly CPR lines, what we can see is that we are currently still above our lower line here. This could still offer us support should we retrace back down into the zone at this 26,524. If we do look to retrace, we could potentially find support here and look to rally in that idea of a third wave. If we do look to push up here, I'm going to be watching this 27,119 and this area here of this 27,709 as potential rejection zones if we do move up into these levels. Now, if we do look to blast through those zones, other targets for this month would be 29,073, 32,175, 34,149 to the upside. If, however, we start to reject off of these levels and we see price look to push to the downside, which would align with that idea of that ABC, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this 24K region as a potential support zone, where we could see an interaction with this S1 line. Other targets for this month would be 22,034 and this 18,893 level. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.